Okay, here, welcome to another story time. I have promised another alligator story. Still got a few in reserve, but I promised another alligator story that would be a real interesting one. The last story time I did. Well, we're going to do that today. Once again, it involved bow fishing. A lot of my interesting outdoors activities involve bow fishing, but there'll be a few that, don't necessarily involve that, and I'll try and get away from that topic for a little bit on the next one. It may still involve fishing, but took a long time friend. I mean, we've known each other since we were children. Well, definitely preteen, 8 years old. Took him out bow fishing, and I don't know if I was married yet or if it was during the time frame when my wife and I were dating, but let's call it 30 years ago for lack of a definite time frame. So we get out there, we're up at a place called the Hatchery. We're out there in the flats, and there are alligators, at least used to be, all over the hatchery. Now that there's an alligator season, I imagine there's a few less, or they're a little bit more wary of humans than they used to be. But I mean, you could ride down a canal at the hatchery and there'd be 4 or 5 out in the middle of the canal at night. So I mean, it's alligator central. So we're moving around, and we've been shooting some carp and some gar, and I think we had a mudfish or two. There seemed to be a little shortage of mudfish at the hatchery area. Maybe even put a catfish or two in the boat, I don't remember. Saw quite a few bass and brim and stuff. It was spring, early summer, not exactly sure when. And the 3 of us are on the front of the boat. My wife's shooting, my buddy's doing his best to shoot, and I've got my bow. I'm more in the center though. I'm driving the boat and letting them have more shots than I'm taking. Of course, I'm taking some of the more difficult shots because I get out there and bow fish about every week at this point. He couldn't go that much, and she wasn't going that much. She'd go occasionally with me. So we're out there, we're having a good time. About, I don't know, halfway in as much time as we wanted to spend, probably past midnight sometime. We maybe a little more than halfway, thinking about it, but probably around midnight or a little after. We're cruising along, and I cruise up on what I think is a log, and as I go further, I'm like, oh goodness. And we get to the head of this huge alligator. I mean, it's a head. Suddenly it thrashes. I was hoping it was going to just sit still and we could just ride on by it. And the head hits the trolling motor. Well, at the same time with the thrash, the tail comes back around and cracks the cowling on my motor. So that means this thing kind of did a C shape, head hitting, tail hitting, and my boat is 16 foot long from where the trolling motor mounts to where the rear motor mounts. So this alligator had to have been over 16 foot. The boat rocks and thrashes. My wife thought for sure we were gonna, go in and we were dead. My buddy, he didn't know what was going on. Thankfully, I have a railing up front. We're holding on for dear life. Things settle, and there is this mud trail of splashy wake going on for 50-60 foot before he hits a little bit deeper water and he's gone. Thankfully, he didn't get more aggressive than that, but he did give us quite a scare. We did continue fishing for a little while, and then we decided it was time to go home. Not because of the alligator, but it was getting late and we needed to get some rest. Didn't have anything else going on the next morning, but if you've done stuff during the day, sometimes you do need to go home, and I've covered that in the boat accident I had. The accident I had driving home tired. So we decided to call it a night, but it was a fun trip. Got your heart racing and got a story to tell out of it. So if you can, maybe you need to get out there and see if you can run into a story and tell it, maybe even on YouTube. Hopefully I inspire you. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next week.